Hello everybody and welcome back to the Ronin Diaries. Today I wanted to do something a little bit simpler in comparison to what we normally do and give my brain a little break, as there's a lot of stuff going on in the world and I just wanted to kill some time. So today I'm actually going to be making a tier list over every anime that I've ever seen. And this is going to be kind of a clear indication as to what I think about a lot of these franchises. And then, you know, if you haven't seen very many anime, if you've only got a couple under your belt, maybe you could use this as a good list of what to look forward to. So, without any, further ado, let's get into it. Let's see. What should we start with here? I'll go like this. We'll start with this. What do we got here? Death Note. Okay. Death Note is obviously an instant classic. Personally, I feel like I didn't like it as much as a lot of my friends who do say this is one of the best of all time. It's definitely in the conversation. So definitely instant classic for sure. Just gonna keep scrolling, We're gonna grab a random one. Bleach. Okay, now Bleach. I feel like I'm gonna get crucified for this. I feel like Bleach is a good watch. Obviously one of the big three. Obviously some inspiration for other shows in the future, supposedly Black Clover. But no, it's definitely the predicator for Black Clover. But it's just so slow. And I know that's probably rich coming from the Naruto fan or from somebody that likes One Piece quite a bit, but early Bleach suffers from similar problems as Naruto in that its story is really good, but there's just so much filler. And with Bleach getting dropped a while back and just recently getting picked back up by Netflix, it was definitely hard to justify the anime for Bleach. It is definitely a good watch. If you're talking about modern Bleach, that would be a must watch. But for now, we're just going good watch. The Great Pretender. Now, this is a Netflix original series. I actually haven't fully finished this. I still have 2 episodes left of this series. However, it's a heist anime, and that's not something that you see ever. The story's great. The characters are great. So many suave characters that are just, you can feel charisma just oozing off of them. I like this show a lot. I think this is a must-watch. I think that if you are looking for something outside of the realm of shonen anime, this is definitely a good start. Alright, let's see what else. Agretsuko. Now, Agretsuko is cool. It's a dating rom-com, Japanese, kind of like business acumen type. It's a cool show. And I do like the heavy metal that plays throughout the show as well. It has some great animation in that sense. However, I did feel that the story was kind of weak, with it being kind of like The Office in the sense. The story just kind of drug on. It was a will they, won't they for the longest, and I found myself getting kind of annoyed at this show at times. So I think Agretsuko is a decent time killer. If you wanted to throw it on, see if you like it, by all means. But I don't think it's anything past a time killer. I think it could be considered a good watch, but I feel like you have to like that type of content. Fairy Tail. Now, Fairy Tail is a very divisive anime, and probably manga too. There is so much filler and fan service, too much fan service, in this show. Just way too much. The characters do give a very Naruto type feel to them. I could definitely see Natsu and Naruto being good friends. That being said, again, just the fan service is way too high in this show. And if you ever saw a piece of media that relies on the power of friendship, it probably got its shtick from Fairy Tail, because Fairy Tail Oh my god, that is the thing. The power of friendship. Don't get me wrong. It's a cool concept, and it helps and makes sense in a lot of the situations that they find themselves in. But it's mid. It's mid all around. I even tried starting the new 100-year quest, and I could only get 3 or 4 episodes in before I wanted to just drop it. It's just not... It's a good time killer. It is. But other than that, I wouldn't give it much. What is this? Sonic X. Now, I recently learned that Sonic X is technically considered an anime because it was made by a Japanese animation studio. And this show, dude, this is honestly a must-watch. This was out from 2002 to 2006, I believe, or 2003 to 2006. And I watched it in the late 2000s, early 2010s as a kid. This was my gateway into Sonic, aside from the Game Boy Advance games that I had. And let me tell you, the amount of characterization that they give everybody is fantastic. There's great storylines. The plot doesn't really drag. I mean, there's a couple moments where you could probably say that it does. But honestly, Sonic X is an amazing series, and honestly kind of reminds me a little bit of another franchise that we're going to talk about later on in the video, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But yes, Sonic X, must watch. You need to watch Sonic X. And the intro fucking slaps. It slaps so hard. Oh my god, the Sonic intro slaps. Okay, let's what's this? Black Clover. I think Black Clover is a really, really good watch. Potentially even a must-watch. Now, obviously, it does fall into that shonen anime category. And there's a lot of people that believe that that type of anime is extremely oversaturated, which I could get. I could get. But, that being said, I don't know. It's charming enough. Again, I'm gonna keep comparing a lot of these shows to Naruto when they have that teacher sensei kind of vibe, and then you got the main protagonist with the demon side of him that's fighting to struggle to control it, and he, it gives a lot of Naruto. It does. And that being said, again, animation's great. The pull-up scenes on this show are awesome. Actually, you know what? I've changed my mind. I'm gonna put Black Clover... Hold on. I've heard a lot of people complain about it. We'll put it in good watch for now. We'll put it in good watch. I want to keep must-watch, instant classic, and god tier. Kind of sparing. Gurren... Oh, wait, no. Kill la Kill. Now, Kill la Kill is a very divisive show. The animation is not only insane, but super unique. It has this sketch style to it. The fights are awesome. The plot is super unique. And honestly, all around, it's just a good watch. That being said, as I've gotten older, I'm starting to look a lot more shows with a big question mark above my head when they have younger characters in skimpy clothing, and this show does do that. The main power is clothing itself, and the main 2 female characters are high schoolers that end up in some pretty skimpy clothing. So because of that, I'm always going to be a little hesitant on suggesting this to people if they don't really understand anime culture and how/why that happens. That being said, though, this anime is so good. So good. I know I just said that I wanted to try to hold off on putting a bunch in the must-watch, instant classic, and god tier category, but Kill la Kill goes into the must-watch, for sure. Hellsing Ultimate. Hellsing Ultimate is something that I found through the Abridged series on YouTube, and I'm sure many of you have as well. And honestly, I'm gonna sound a little weird for saying this because of the content of the anime itself and the dark themes that it has, but it's a lot like Berserk in that if you can stomach that type of content, immediately goes up to god tier. Hellsing Ultimate, I'll put it in instant classic. Obviously, you have to like that type of content, but It is so good. It is so good. The storyline is so good. Alucard, as a character himself, has a great cyclical arc from beginning to end. And I think that, you know, if you can handle gory stuff, you'll like Hellsing Ultimate. Now, let's grab this one. Noragami. Wow. What a series. The only thing that I am upset about Noragami is that it doesn't have more. And I know that's probably a stupid thing to say, but honestly, again, storyline is super cool about fallen gods, about a god that essentially nobody cared about, and then turns around and helps humanity, specifically one girl from humanity, so he isn't forgotten because he wants to keep that connection. It's a very beautiful story. It's very personal. It's not like your typical anime that you'd think of. The story, while having a bunch of fantastical concepts with different gods and powers and all this other stuff, the core themes of the show itself are very grounded in human emotion. And I love shows like that, genuinely. So Noragami, must watch. Honestly, I wish more people would talk about this show. Next, let's go Mashle. Now, I've watched Mashle. It's okay. It's the third tier One Punch Man. You know, it's One Punch Man, Mob Psycho, or interchangeable depending on how you see those, and then Mashle. It's a funny concept. You know, magic doesn't work on the guy. He just muscles through everything. It's a funny concept, but I feel like as of recent, the musclehead figure that just pushes through the power system because he's so strong is kind of an overdone concept a little bit. And the anime itself was kind of boring. It was very predictable. Anytime that Mashle would come up against something, I kind of knew that he was just going to punch the enemy at the end of the day, which again is very similar to One Punch Man, but that's kind of One Punch Man's thing. And you could say, well, that's Mashle's thing too. Okay, but then Mashle's just ripping off One Punch Man. So it's honestly, in my opinion, our first waste of time. Our first waste of time. The animation's not bad, the story's not bad, but honestly, it's just Saitama cosplaying in the Harry Potter universe. That's all it is. Okay, next. Oops. Let's bring this back here. I'm interested to see how this ends up looking by the end. Here we go. Here's one. Sword Art Online. Sword Art Online, I'm ranking the whole 3 seasons together. It's a great show. It is a great show. Honestly, I feel like it does fall off after season 1, unfortunately. Season 2 is good, not as good as season 1. And then season 3 with Gun Gale. Going from swords to guns was just kind of a weird concept. It does end up working. It does. However, it just loses the spirit of what SAO Season 1 was, the epicness that SAO Season 1 was. So because of that, I'm actually only going to put SAO into the good watch category. It is a very good watch. I don't know at this point if it's a must watch. This Tokyo Mew Mew. Alright, so, Tokyo Mew Mew. This is an anime that I actually haven't finished fully, but I did read the manga completely whenever I was a kid. And listen, I understand. It's an anime about cat girls in a cafe and they have superpowers. It's kind of like Bakemonogatari in a way, kind of like Sailor Moon in a way, but it's just cat girls working at a cafe. Very, very basic concept. Is it good? I thought so whenever I was younger. I did. However, nowadays, I probably wouldn't think it's that great. It's probably a decent time killer. I don't know if it would fall into the good watch or not, just because, again, as I've gotten older, some of those concepts, I'm like, ooh, that's a little unsavory. So it would probably fall anywhere between the time killer and waste of time category. That being said, if you are a young child and you like Actually, you know what? No, with the way they're dressed, even if you're a young child, just don't watch this. Never mind. We're just going to put this in waste of time. We're going to put that in waste of time. Yeah. All right. Your Lie in April. Your Lie in April is a depressingly beautiful story. Maybe I was just a little dumb when I first watched it, but the plot twist towards the end, I didn't really see coming. And it's a story that holds you the entire time that you're watching it. And whenever you're not expecting it, it punches you in the stomach and then you cry. And honestly, I'm okay with that. Every once in a while, you need a good cry. You need a story that kind of brings you back down from all the excitement, all the laser beams and everything. And this story will definitely do that. Your Lie in April is a must-watch, especially if you're going through anything emotionally. It will help you get those emotions out. If you need to cry and you feel like you can't, just watch this. You will cry. Hajime no Ippo. Now, a lot of people know about this, and then a lot of people don't. And I know that's kind of a stupid statement to make, but just roll with me. I hear a lot of people online talk about Ippo. I don't see or hear a lot of people that I know of personally and meet in person talk about Ippo. But potentially the greatest sports anime / manga of all time, and one of the greatest protagonists of all time. Makunochi Ippo is such a inspiration, and honestly, I really can't think of a more grounded character that I could actually want to model myself after. Genuinely, the watch on this is amazing. The fights are amazing. The growth of not only Ippo himself, but the other boxers around him is amazing. If you have the chance, you need to watch this. Even if you don't like boxing, even if you don't like sports that much, you need to watch this. This show is, honestly, hold on. Let's reorder this. This is going to the top. Well, maybe. Maybe. Okay, well, if I could reorder it properly, Hajime no Ippo would be going to the top of Instant Classic right now. That being said, Gurren Lagann. Immediate God tier. Hold on. Absolute cinema. Immediate God tier. One of the greatest animes that I have ever seen in my life. The story of Simone the Digger going from the underground to the stars, watching the characters that rise and fall. I'm not going to spoil anything. And then seeing the massive scale that this show goes on. Like, I love saying this to people who have never seen the show, but it goes from your standard size mech, right? Transformer size mech, to robots so big that they step on and throw galaxies like frisbees. What other description do you need to watch this show? But more than anything, I love referencing Gurren Lagann whenever it talks about humanity's drive. This show will give you such a sense of, I can do it, I have faith in myself, that it becomes a almost yearly ritual for me to watch this show. I haven't started it yet this year, but at some point in time, I know I can't stream anime, unfortunately, but if I could stream anything like a watch together, it'd be this. It would be this. This is one of my favorite shows of all time. Okay, this next one, The Way of the House Husband. Another Netflix only, if I'm not mistaken, is a very odd show because it's actually, each episode has 3 or 4 episodes like sliced into one. I can't remember. But it's this funny concept where the main character, I can't remember his name. It's not Tanjiro. It's close to Tanjiro. He is ex-Yakuza and still holds that aura about him, that persona of Yakuza, somebody that's going to make you do what they want or take what they want from you, and you're not going to have anything to do about it. But instead of, stealing money, he's going around collecting stuff for his neighborhood. Instead of peddling drugs, he's selling lemonade at a lemonade stand for his community. Again, it's really hard to describe, but he really is the perfect house husband. And every episode with this show is just, it has me rolling. I need to go back and check actually to see if another season of this is released, because this is one of the funniest watches. And with the episodes being so quick, because each episode is only like 2 minutes, it's super easy to watch 4 or 5 full episodes in a row, and time has just passed by. Super, super fun watch. Great to watch with people. I think more people need to watch The Way of the House Husband. I think the comedy on it is just way too high. Man, I don't even recognize some of this shit. Oh, okay, Parasite. Wow. You talk about a must-watch. Parasite is one of the first anime that I found that wasn't your typical shonen. And it has this body horror, mystery, air surrounding it. The story itself is kind of disturbing. And again, it's a lot of body horror, so the graphics can be pretty disturbing too. However, if you like stories about aliens, about monsters, about mutation, and if I remember correctly, some like government overreach sprinkled in there, Parasite's definitely very good. The live action that they did was actually a nice adaptation as well. I would say that the Parasite universe as a whole is pretty well put together. So this is a good jumping point if you like stuff like that as well. Parasite's very good. I would say, actually, we're going to put it in good watch. Not must watch, but good watch. Record of Ragnarok. Now, I don't know how this show ends, because it's not over, obviously. And I haven't read the manga. And I'm not going to. That being said, I do really, really enjoy the concept of pitting fictional gods and characters from times past up against actual people and or fictional people of somewhat modern day civilization. The concept is just super, super cool. And a little bit of a spoiler for that show, it does a good job at keeping you on your toes throughout the battle. I genuinely didn't expect Hercules to lose the fight to who he did, to Jack the Ripper. I forgot what his name was for a second. But the fight between Hercules and Jack the Ripper, it genuinely looked like Hercules was about to win that. And then they, ass pull of the century. Jack the Ripper, turns out his magic weapon is not what we thought it was. So it's a very good show about keeping you on your toes. The animation's pretty cool. I'm always going to harp on that. If something has a unique animation style, I'm going to mention it. I like the animation style. I like the concept. I like the mystery about it. That being said, it is kind of basic in its concept. It is just a battle brawler anime tournament style, the whole thing. So with that, I'm going to put this down into good watch. Here, let's do this. Space Dandy. Now, how do I describe Space Dandy? Space Dandy is the Johnny Bravo character archetype meets Space Explorer, meets Star-Lord. If Star-Lord and Johnny Bravo had a child together, or fused together, it would be Space Dandy. Each episode is something different. A new planet to traverse, or a new alien to capture. But Space Dandy always finds a way to A, get himself in trouble, B, make me laugh, and C, end up looking cool in the end. I don't know how he does it. He just does. He's got that suave personality about him. This was suggested to me by friends for a long time, and I saw clips from it. There's this one scene of him dancing like this with a star guy, and I kept seeing gifs of that, and eventually I broke down and was like, okay, I need to know what that's from. I need to watch this. And then I sat down and watched almost all 25 episodes back to back to back. it's a crazy good show. I would almost be willing to put it into God tier, but I would be remiss if I didn't say that the comedy style may miss some people. And I feel like for a show to be God tier status, it needs to really resonate with everyone. That being said, instant classic. Space Dandy is like right there with Hajime no Ippo as top of instant classic. Overlord. Overlord is a good watch. Overlord is a good watch. It's a cool concept. It's SAO, you know, character gets stuck inside a video game. But D&D, so the main character is a lich. I think that's what he is, a lich. Maybe not. He might be a great skeleton. He is a skeleton, but I don't remember what he's classified as. But it's a harem anime. At the end of the day, it's a harem anime. And I'm not the biggest fan of harem animes. I've seen them. But the animation, cool. The concept, decent. The pacing, very slow. The pacing on this show is pretty slow. I'm not going to lie. Some of the episodes do drag on. Now, don't get me wrong, with the different factions, the different races that the show shows off, it is interesting. However, I just think that it's not worth the time. It's not worth the time. So, it's a decent time killer. Naruto, God tier. Don't need to say anything more. Honestly, it's my favorite show of all time. I understand it has its issues. Every show does. No show is perfect. But, I mean, you see... Hey, quit moving. You see my mask. You see my banner back there. You see my Naruto stuff up here. You see my tattoo. Like, it's Naruto. It's God tier. Kenichi, History's Mightiest Disciple. This show is really cool. I really like the concept of martial artist that learns from multiple different teachers and learns multiple different styles and then becomes the best martial artist. And this wasn't the first medium that I had seen that concept before. I don't remember where I had seen that previous. Very Shaolin Showdown, very American Dragon Jake Long. Again, that being said though, there is way too much fan service in this show. If you can look past that, it's a great show. The characters are great. The martial arts masters are all have insanely different, but just as endearing personalities as each other. And the main character is that typical scared high school boy coward that becomes badass. Kenichi is just an awesome character and gets the girl in the end. What more can you ask for? That being said, I would say it's a good watch. Personally, for me, it's one of my classics, but I understand where it's going to lose a lot of people, and I understand, again, the fan service kind of drops that down a tier. Wow, we still have a lot to go through, and we're already 30 minutes in. I gotta start booking this. All right, One Piece. God tier. I'm not going to argue with it. One Piece is God tier. It takes a while to get into, sure, but listen, man, you can go back and look on my channel. I have a video where I watched 550 episodes of One Piece in 30 days. If I can watch half of the series in 1 month, you can get through it in a couple months. You'll be fine. Dragon Ball Daima. Dragon Ball Daima was a really fun watch. I think it was a good spin on the story of Dragon Ball. It had that GT feel to it, and it added to the canon of what Dragon Ball Super currently is, gave us Super Saiyan 4. Honestly, it was super fun. I don't think you have to watch it in order to continue with the Dragon Ball franchise, but if you did, you're going to have a good time. Naruto Shippuden. Now, here's where things differ. I think Shippuden is an instant classic. I think regular Naruto is better than Shippuden, and I don't think I'm in the minority when I say that. You have to watch Shippuden. You have to. You have to find out what happens at the end of Naruto. But the one thing, literally the one main complaint that I have that keeps Shippuden into instant classic tier underneath Naruto is the music change. I love traditional Japanese music more than most people around me. Probably more than almost anyone around me. That being said, the Japanese rock, the Jap rock that came from original Naruto is unmatched. Anytime I hear any of those classic songs from Naruto, I get hyped as fuck. I use that music at the gym. I use that music throughout my day. I use that music in my videos. All of it. God, I'm just stammering at this point. Its music is so good and resonates so well that I do genuinely think that it was a very big mistake on Shippuden's part to switch to that traditional Japanese music only. I think that they should have had moments where that original Naruto music came back into the fray. Specifically whenever Naruto comes up against, like, Pain, for example, against Sasuke, against Obito, what have you. Alright, Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is, I'm just going to say it's a good watch. I think that if you play the card game and you're a big nerd of it like I am, it probably jumps up to a must-watch, especially if you're talking about the first 3 seasons of Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is mostly what I'm referring to. But that being said, it's a very back-and-forth anime. It has the same feeling as, like, Bakugan, a little bit like Pokemon, but not as much. It's a very good show. It's a good show. But you have to be invested into the game itself to really enjoy it for what it is. And because of that, I think it's probably just a good watch. Especially that first series of Yu-Gi-Oh! You could show anybody that and they would probably at least recognize somebody saying Monster Reborn or Pot of Greed or something. Or in High School Host Club. Big time killer. High school boy harem. That's kind of what it is. Some of the plots in it are okay. There was one character, I can't remember his name, it's the shortest character. He was very interesting to me whenever I watched this show, but this is for a very specific demographic. Obviously, if you are a middle school or a high school girl, this will probably resonate with you more, and you'll probably enjoy this a little bit more than I did. But ultimately, this is kind of just a time killer. It doesn't really go anywhere, there's no really good resolution for the story, and there's no Orin college host club, you know what I mean? So, hey, don't take that idea. I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna run with it. I'm gonna make millions. Yu Yu Hakusho, God tier. It walked so Hunter x Hunter could run. Yusuke Urameshi is one of the best protagonists to ever do it. I don't care if she's a grandma or a child. I'll still beat her ass. Yeah, Yusuke Urameshi is one of the best to ever do it. One of the best protagonists. The core 4 of Yu Yu Hakusho is extremely strong. Kuwabara is an amazing character, and Yu Yu Hakusho, going from the human realm to the spirit realm and kind of going back and forth, has this surreal feel to it that not a lot of shows do, and it's hard to describe. It's hard to describe that ethereal feeling that Yu Yu Hakusho holds, but honestly, there's very few that do it like it, and it's God tier. You have to watch it. Charlotte is an instant classic to me. I saw this several years ago whenever I was in college, after I lost somebody, like physically lost somebody. And this show has a depressing connection with losing people. And I just remember whenever I watched this show for the first time, I was just bawling my eyes out. Bawling like a water fountain. It's gripping, man. It's gripping on the heart. It has some, I know I keep using this word a lot, but it has some very grounded characters in what they go through and the emotions that they feel. And honestly, I feel like this just has a lot of characters that, if you've gone through anything emotionally, which if you're human, you had to have, you'll be able to resonate with this show. I will say that, again, it's pretty sad, and I am an overly emotional person sometimes, so maybe don't take this to heart, but you may not want to watch this if you're not ready to cry. Just saying. Yona of the Dawn. Ooh. Yona of the Dawn. Honestly, waste of time. Big waste of time. Reverse harem. The animation's cool, story's okay, but it just feels super basic. The dialogue is kind of meh. There's no, there's not a lot of substance, in my opinion, for this show. It was fun to watch, I guess, but I'm also a pretty easy to please person in the moment. So, if you want to watch it, go ahead. You could put it into the time killer category because it's not like god awful or anything, but I think it falls into that waste of time category, personally. That being said, something that's not a waste of time, classic Dragon Ball. Classic Dragon Ball is an instant classic. Now, that being said, if you've seen Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball GT, and that's what you're expecting, don't. Because Dragon Ball is much more comedy. That's what it originally was meant to be, was more of a comedic series. And then, as time got on and the battles progressively got bigger and bolder, it got more serious. That being said, though, original Dragon Ball has so much charm to it. Kid Goku is such a delight to watch. Watch him explore the world and learn what things are. And that's the thing, is Goku has such a sense of wonder about him for the world that it's infectious. You know, you get to follow him on his journey, get to see him learn about what a woman is, learn what basic foods are, learn what marriage is. Like, there's just key concepts that obviously he doesn't understand being stuck up in the mountains training martial arts with his grandfather. He wouldn't have learned those things, obviously. So, watching the story of Dragon Ball and seeing how Goku progresses into the man that he is in Dragon Ball Z or Super is just super, super fun to watch. Attack on Titan. Now, I'm going to get crucified for this probably, but I think Attack on Titan goes into the instant classic and not God tier. Now, let me tell you why. My main issue with Attack on Titan, one, and I know people are going to be like, what? That shouldn't be a personal gripe. But the amount of time that it was stretched out to get to the end of this series genuinely pissed me off. I didn't start this series when everybody was talking about it, because whenever I was in high school, I was trying to be super cool and be like, oh, everybody's talking about that, I'm not going to look into it. So I didn't watch Attack on Titan for forever. Great story. The time travel stuff, I understand that it's meant to be left vague. However, my brain does not like stuff like that. I want some kind of post-credit scene. I want some kind of interview with somebody, something for some kind of clarification. The time loop in this isn't made super clear in the beginning, and that's obviously by design. I just think that it was handled well, but could have been handled better. That being said, though, it does feel like the story of Attack on Titan kind of wrote itself into a corner. So maybe that was just too hard to do. Despite my personal gripes, one of the best animes ever. Everybody loves it. Everybody recommends it, myself included. This is an amazing show. It's one that you need to watch multiple times to fully understand, though. So, instant classic. Just go into it ready to soak up information, because if you don't pay attention, you're gonna miss a lot. Demon Slayer. I think Demon Slayer is a must-watch. Instant classic, I don't know. I know a lot of people probably think so because of how modern it is and the fact that its last bit is being chopped up into 3 movies. It could be thrown into instant classic because of that, but honestly, it's a little basic. It's demons, it's swords, and that's kind of all it is. That's all it needs to be, mind you, but I want something with a little bit more substance. Muzan as a character isn't super compelling as a villain, so I think it's in the must-watch category. I think it could do a little bit better, and the fact that the creator said that the breathing forms that they do, where you see the fire or the water coming off the sword, that's just visual flair that doesn't actually happen. No, that actually happens. The creator doesn't know what he's talking about. This goes into must-watch, but if you skip over it, I wouldn't blame you. Castlevania, the Netflix series. I think, honestly, instant classic. This show is beautifully animated. The story it makes sense. The main villain's motivation for doing what he does Can't really blame him. If you watch the series, you know. That's all I'm saying. Can't really blame him for acting how he did. So, instant classic. I would say definitely watch this. My Hero Academia Vigilantes, I think, is a good watch. I think it adds on a decent little amount from a different perspective to the My Hero universe. And more than anything is just making me wish that in the future we would get some kind of team up between Koichi and Deku. Even though I know that's not going to happen, I would love to see it. Koichi is a great main character, and honestly, Knuckle Duster, just as cool as All Might. I'm going to say it, he's just as cool as All Might. Future Diary. Oh boy. Okay, so Future Diary is a really, really, really good series, but it's really, really dark. And honestly, I question myself as to why I was watching this at 17, because I'm like, you probably shouldn't have watched this at 17. It's pretty dark. That being said, though, the concept of Future Diary is extremely unique. I haven't seen anything like it from another series. And if you can handle some body gore, not a whole lot, but a little bit, and unfortunately this show does have, I think, some SA, I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, there is an SA scene. So, like, there's some rough stuff in this series, right? Despite that, the concept's really good, the animation's cool, the main character's fucking crazy, and I think it's a really fun watch. I think it's... I think it's a good watch. Personally, for me, it's one that I will go back and see again, just because of where it landed in my life, how big of an impact it's had, the other anime that it made me sprout off to. I'll probably go back and watch it again, but for you, dear viewer, don't you worry about that. It's just a good watch. Series The Jaeger, one of the first Netflix original animes that I've seen. I remember the animation being good. I remember the fight scenes being cool. But I don't remember, like, jack diddly squat from the story. So because of that, I'm going to put it down in Time Killer. Not saying that it's bad. I'm not saying that it's bad by any means, because I genuinely think that it's probably pretty good. I just don't remember. And in the interest of fairness, I did kind of use this whole series as a time killer. So that's where we'll put it. Okay, next on the list, Magi. If you haven't seen this, do so. Amazing show. One of the best depictions of magic in a show I think I've ever seen. And with the, it has an Aladdin feel to it, you know what I mean? The main character is supposed to be Aladdin, Alibaba, all these characters. So the story takes place over in the Middle East. It has a lot of Middle Eastern clothing and inspiration, especially with the architecture and the culture. It's just a very unique placement for anime in comparison to a lot of what we do see. Biggest complaint, again, about this show is the fact that amazing animation, amazing story, amazing characters, and it was just dropped for whatever reason. Don't know to this day. I'll have to do a little research to see why it was dropped, but you want to talk about a good series? Magi's insanely good. Worst part about it is the fact that it was never finished. Jujutsu Kaisen. I think Jujutsu Kaisen's a must-watch. Honestly, let's be real here. It's one of the better modern animes that we have. And, not to mention, its animation is just, it's doing things that other animes aren't doing. Those impact frames are crazy, dude. All of these fights, the culling games are right around the corner. I actually think it's next episode. So, it's just about to get crazier and crazier. It's a must-watch. You need to watch Jujutsu Kaisen. Seven Deadly Sins. Great waste of time. Great waste of time. Seven Deadly Sins is probably the greatest waste of time anime there is. Season 1 had so much potential. Season 2 was also extremely good. Season 3 was okay, and then after everything, it just... This is one of my biggest disappointment shows of all time. I absolutely fell in love with this show when it first came out on Netflix. I wanted nothing more. I was fiending for it. And then as time went on, they kind of, I think what happened is they just spread their attention too far between too many different shows and franchises and kind of lost the plot, literally. Other big thing, I don't know if I've ever seen a show where the outro is just 10 times better than the intro. The outro for season 1 on this show slaps so damn hard. Go and listen to that right now. Dragon Ball Z, God tier. I don't really need to explain anything about this. It's the grandfather of everything. It walked so everything could run. And to this day, it still holds up. Sure, pacing on Namek is a little slow at times. Just watch Dragon Ball Z Kai. It chops out all that filler stuff and condenses everything down to a more concise, better paced anime. But Dragon Ball Z, God tier. If you love anime, you gotta watch it. At least once. At least once. Let's see. Eden Zero is essentially just the exact same version of Fairy Tail. Same characters almost. Character designs look exactly the same. In space. It's a huge waste of time. Honestly, I feel like the creator of Fairy Tail is pretty hard stuck in their art style because they cannot make anything new. Anytime I see something from the creator of Fairy Tail and Eden Zero, all of the character models look the same, going all the way back to Rave Master. So, unfortunately, big waste of time. Vampire Knights, also huge waste of time. I read/watched this whenever I was in like late middle school. And again, don't get me wrong, at the time it was like, oh my god, this is cool. But the variety of anime that we had available at that point in time was extremely limited. So didn't really have a whole lot to base it off of. Now that I've gotten older, it's kind of gross as a series. It's just really weird. I need to stop seeing so many series that base around high schoolers and then non-high school things, if you catch my drift. Like, it's just... Don't watch this. Just don't. It's a big waste of time. Black Lagoon. Now, Black Lagoon's interesting. Main character is a badass mercenary who has a lot of attachment issues. I think it's a really cool series. It's been forever since I've seen it. I don't think it's a must-watch, but if you like badass women, if you like guns, if you like fist fights, things like that, it's a pretty fun watch. Digimon, original Digimon, I think is also a good watch. It, similar to Pokemon, it falls into that category of you need to already like the franchise to like the anime. And I think that the connection between the Digimon and their tamers is actually better than the connection between most Pokemon and their trainers. Just unfortunate that Digimon didn't catch on like Pokemon did. That being said, though, the anime, Season 1 anime, Season 1, here. Full thing, here. No game, no life. Talk about a waste of time. The concept is cool, I guess. The main character is essentially Yugi from Yu-Gi-Oh!, the king of games. But the brother-sister relationship in this one feels a bit much. And I'm not going to say any more, except that I'm glad that it didn't get finished. Inuyasha, also really fucking weird. A lot of people like this show. I have never liked this show. I have always thought it weird. Now, granted, I didn't grow up watching this. I didn't start getting into Inuyasha until I was like 16 or 17. But I always thought it weird that a 15-year-old girl and a multi-thousand-year-old demon guy were in love. And I know it's like, oh, you're supposed to look past that. You're supposed to look at the romance and how he actually feels for her and protects her. It's still weird. It's still weird. It's still weird. I know I'm looking at it in a modern perspective. It's still fucking weird. Sorry. A lot of people are going to say that Inuyasha is a must-watch. Personally, I think it's a waste of time. You can get all the same plot concepts, beats, animation, fight. You can get all that from so many other franchises that you don't have to waste your time on this weird-ass one with. If you want to simp over Shishomaru, because that's the person that you are, I totally get that. Other than that, don't watch it. It's just a waste of time. Elfen Lied. Now, Elfen Lied is an amazing series that I think actually inspired the movie Lucy, starring Scarlett Johansson, because the stories are like almost one-to-one. And in fact, Eleven from Stranger Things might have also gotten a lot of her identity from this anime. That being said, this does have a lot of unsavory scenes in it that can be kind of hard to watch. So, steel yourself, get prepared, because there's some stuff that's hard to stomach in this show. That aside, the story itself is amazing. The concept is crazy. Where it ends makes sense for the show. Yeah, overall good watch, just hard to watch at times. XXXaholic. Now, I've only seen bits of the animation in truth. I've read the manga fully. From what I've read of the manga and what I've seen in the show, it could be considered a good watch. It's a very interesting concept of having these like dimensional doors and being essentially, I don't know if servant's the best word, but this woman that you see on the image right here is like this guy's right here, patron. He's the main character. He goes to her. I can't remember exactly what for. It's kind of an interesting concept, but honestly, I feel like it probably just goes into the lewd section a little bit too much for it to be like a must-watch. If I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure this show / manga is pretty lewd, if I remember correctly. Dragon Ball GT. I think GT is a good watch. GT walked so Daima could run, and GT has some amazing parts in it. The fights with the multiple different Shinron dragons is fun. Super Saiyan 4, obviously. Gogeta, Goku riding off with Shinron. It has a good ending to it. That being said, it does drag quite a bit. The cast of Kid Goku, Pan, and Trunks is kind of weird, to be honest with you. And, I don't know, the first half of GT is just pretty weak. You got Baby, which is good. You got Super 17, which is mid. And then the Dragons. So, it's a good watch. I think it's fun. Mushishi. I don't know how to describe this other than ethereal. And very rooted in Buddhist concepts. I think that if you are into spirituality, that it'll probably fall into instant classic or god tier. If you're not, the animation and concept are still good enough to where it's a must watch. I think everybody should stop and watch Mushishi, kind of break up that shonen vibe that a lot of people are going with between JJK, One Piece, Super, everything else. Mushishi is a great break. It's a good thinker too. It's a good thinker of an anime. Samurai Champloo. Another must watch, honestly. The fight choreography in Champloo is extremely, extremely good. Reminds me of some of the best that Naruto has to offer. The characters are fun to be around. And just the overall story. It's hard for me to talk fully on it because it's been a really long time since I've seen Champloo, but I do remember watching it, being completely enthralled, thinking that I do want to watch this again at some point. So I would put Samurai Champloo into must watch for sure. Let's see if we can do some rapid fire real quick. Polymagi Madoka Magica, Time Waster. It is magical girl anime. It's okay. It's not really the greatest. Kind of middle of the road for a magical girl anime. Love Hina, waste of time. Big, creepy waste of time. It is, again, just a harem anime based around, if I remember correctly, like 18-year-olds. It's fucking weird. Love Hina, don't watch it. Kaiju number 8. Kaiju number 8 is a good watch. It definitely could fall into the must-watch category, but I do think it's a little basic for how the story is progressing so far. That being said, design is awesome, music's great, main character's motivation is realistic, so I think it's a good watch. Baki is also a good watch. A little crazy with the body dysmorphia and what they're able to do with their bodies in this show, but I'm a big martial arts proprietor. It's one of my favorite things of all time is martial arts, so any anime about it is going to capture my interest. That being said, it is very unrealistic with what they can do with their bodies, so, and again, it can be kind of gross seeing what they do. They like distort their bodies in some really weird ways. So definitely a good watch. I don't know if I'd say must watch. Let's see. Pokemon. I'm grouping all of Pokemon together from season 1 to the end of Ash's journey. And I think, again, falls into the good watch category. You need to be a fan of Pokemon to really want to watch the series all the way through. That being said, everybody and their mom has seen part of season 1. Everybody knows about Team Rocket blasting off again and for the final time. Everybody knows about Pikachu and Ash. Everybody knows about Ash not winning the Pokemon League for forever. You know what I mean? So, basic Pokemon, God tier. Some of the later seasons, waste of time. I think that it falls right in the middle of a good watch. You could throw on Pokemon. You don't really need to know what's going on to enjoy it. Damn, we still have a lot. Okay. Code Geass, God tier. I just watched this recently. I was told for so long to watch this and put it off because I don't like mech anime. It has become one of my favorites of all time. Lelouch is such a good character, and I know it's very Vinny, very Nintendo of me to be like, I want a Code Geass tattoo now that I've seen Code Geass. But man, this show is so good. You need to watch it. Even if you don't like mech anime, you'll like Code Geass. Devil's a Part-Timer. Time Killer. It's what happens to Satan when he gets forced to work at a McDonald's. Yep, that's all the anime is. Fully Cooley. Fully Cooley is a really cool watch. It's got a very interesting concept, and the headless biker is one of my favorite character designs in any anime. That being said, a little eccentric, not gonna be for everyone. I do think it's a good watch. One Punch Man, everybody knows One Punch Man. It's a good watch. The story's kind of meh. The story's not really that deep, you know what I mean? It's supposed to be supposedly getting deeper now that One Punch Man is nearing its end on its online comic, but for what it is, it's a good time. You know what he's gonna do. He's gonna end it. He's gonna end his enemy in one punch. Gachiakuta. I think Gachiakuta is actually gonna end up being a must-watch. The concept of living amongst trash, the trash beasts, the giver powers, the intrigue and mystery that the show has already set up has already like really intrigued me. I think that everybody's going to end up liking the show after they watch it. A Certain Magical Index. It's a decent time killer anime. Nothing super special. You've got magical girls with magical powers. It has a lot of religious centering, which is super cool. Not super cool, super interesting. One thing that I do find super cool is it's actually a series of animes. So there's this one, A Certain Magical Index. There's another one called A Certain Magical Railgun. So there's quite a few series like that. But A Certain Magical Index is kind of where it all starts. And it's a fun time, I guess. But really, it's a time waster. It's a time killer. My Hero Academia, I think, honestly, instant classic. Now that we've gotten to the end and seen Deku's full progression, seeing everything that happens, and having that hindsight of where the series was 10 years ago to where it is now, that if you watch it, you're going to fall in love with it. Of course, just like a lot of shows, there's going to be rough patches, there's going to be things that you don't like, and you got to push yourself through, but honestly, it's a great watch. It's a great watch. Hunter x Hunter. Probably going to get crucified for this too, but I think it's just a good watch. In comparison to what we just talked about with My Hero Academia, Hunter x Hunter has this issue where it drags on, and the main creator, Yoshihiro Togashi, his brain is so scattered, and he wants to talk about so many different things at so many just drops of a hat that it's hard for the story to feel like it has a good through line. And because of that, I don't think it's as good as what a lot of people say, personally. The characters are amazing. The power system is one of the best out there. I will give you that. Nin is definitely one of the best power systems that we have. But I don't know. I just feel like Togashi needs to focus in a little bit harder on his writing for it to be one of the best of all time, personally. Spy Family. I'm a big sucker for espionage, for families that love each other, and for cute stuff. And this show hits all three of those. It's really hard to not fall in love with Anya, with Lloyd, with the one of the teachers at the school that's like, oh, elegant, everything's elegant. Everything is elegant. It's really hard not to fall in love with these characters, and the intrigue that they keep throughout the show definitely, it drip feeds you a little bit. I think it's God tier, poisonally. Another one that I'm gonna throw into God tier, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. For the longest time, considered the greatest anime of all time. A short 52 episodes, story never slows down, intrigue is always there, character design, power, villains, all of it is beautifully executed. And if anything, my only complaint is we didn't get something after Brotherhood. It probably wouldn't have fit with the story, but man, did I want more. You need to watch this. If you like anime and you haven't seen Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, I would almost be willing to say that you need to stop whatever series that you're watching right now, and you need to start watching this. And then after you're done watching this, then go back to whatever you're watching. But another time. Zom 100. It was a good watch. I didn't finish it. I should go back and finish it. Interesting concept, but didn't keep me long enough for me to really care. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Instant classic. Where did I put that? I put that into the must watch. Instant classic. Every JoJo is amazing. I do think that some are better than others. I think part 1 is probably the weakest, just because the story was figuring out where it was going to go. But you have to watch JoJo. And then afterwards, you have to do really flamboyant poses, because that's part of JoJo. Solo Leveling. I think it's a good time killer. Maybe a good watch, but more than anything, it's just a cool time killer. It's an aura farming time killer. There's no depth to the story. The main character is kind of a Mary Sue. You know what I mean? He sacrifices himself in the beginning, gets a second chance, has all these powers, and can never really lose. It's kind of a Mary Sue. He's kind of boring to follow. Cool aura farmer. He's a cool character. I would also like to go randomly from 5'9" to 6'3" in my sleep, but, some of us don't get that. Full Metal Alchemist. Now, Full Metal Alchemist and Alchemist Brotherhood, I put these in the wrong spot, are different in that Full Metal Alchemist was actually going on at the same time as the manga. Caught up to the manga and then needed to finish, so Full Metal Alchemist actually has a different ending completely than the canonical ending from the manga, and as such, Brotherhood was made as like a revamped version. It's still a good watch. I think it's very interesting, but seeing where it diverts kind of irritates me a bit, so it goes into the good watch. Bofuri, Little Trash. I have a whole video talking about this anime. I don't want to talk about it any further. It's garbage. Don't watch it. Watch my video instead. Berserk. Berserk is a good watch. It can be kind of hard though. If you know, you know. It's really dark. I don't think it's a must watch because of how gory it is and how dark the story is. But if you do like anime, give it a shot. Soul Eater. God tier. God tier. Soul Eater walked so both Fire Force and Gachiakuta could run. Obviously, the ending to Soul Eater is very disputed. Again, talking about the power of friendship, it relies extremely heavily on that power of friendship. But that being said, the story leading up to it is just the characters, the craziness, the psychopathy that comes with some of these characters. Yeah, it's God tier. Promised Neverland is a good watch, but unfortunately gets held back by its crappy ending. Violet Evergarden, oh my god. Violet Evergarden is an instant classic. It's another one of those that's extremely sad to watch. And you find yourself having a lot of emotions watching Violet Evergarden. But I think everyone should. Along with Assassination Classroom. Another great watch. It's exactly like the title says. Classroom of Assassins. Being trained by their teacher, who is the alien, to assassinate him. It's a weird concept, and you find yourself extremely sad at the end. So, definitely give Assassination Classroom a try as well. Alright, just a few more. Clanad. Clanad is also a must-watch that will make you cry. It hit me out of left field, like a left hook. You do not see it coming. You are like, oh, this is a great time. I'm having such a great time with these characters and nothing bad's gonna happen. And then cancer. I don't remember if it's actually cancer, but cancer. Kakegakuri. Very weird show. Very weird show. It's a good watch. It's interesting. Main characters being in a school all about gambling. Kind of cool. Don't like the over-sexualization. You know what I mean? Like, again, these are kids, high schoolers. Stop it. But, looking past that fucking weird shit, the gambling aspect of the show is really cool. Really, really cool. Food Wars, same as Kakegurui. High schoolers, cooking, awesome. I don't need to see that many characters almost nude covered in food. Bars. It's a weird show. You know what? We're gonna throw that down into Time Killer. It was a good time killer, and that's really all it was. Blood Lad. Blood Lad, I think, is a good watch. Little eccentric, a little weird, has kind of some Soul Eater vibes to it. And if you've seen in the past, I did do a voice acting video going over Blood Lad. I don't think you need to watch it, but if you're looking for something, you need some action, and you want that main character that feels like Soul from Soul Eater, Shinra from Fire Force, that has that like toothy grin, you know, everybody kind of despises him, but he keeps pushing forward anyways. If you're looking for that type of character in a show, Blood Lad will definitely get it done for you. Akeme ga Kill was a great watch. I wouldn't put it in must watch. It was a great watch. It keeps you on your toes pretty often, and all I'm gonna say about this show is do not get attached to anybody. Just don't. Your heart's gonna hurt. That's all. Windbreaker. I think Windbreaker is also a great watch. Almost must watch. It is a great example of what happens when you actually have people who care about their community. It is another martial arts anime. It is a faction, street gang, high school gang kind of anime, but going back to some of the anime that I talked about earlier, it's very grounded. It's very grounded in the fact that it's based around community, what community means to each other, what belonging means to each other, finding yourself amongst other people. And because of that, I think it's very relatable, and I think it would resonate with a lot of people. The main character, super shy, he gets flustered over every little bit of compliment or emotion thrown his way, so it's a fun watch. It is a really fun watch. It's super easy to throw on and to just vibe for a few episodes. Let's see. Steins Gate. Steins Gate's God tier. I don't care what anybody says. I know I complained earlier about the time loopiness of Attack on Titan, and Steins Gate kind of has something like that as well, but we're made aware from the jump that Steins Gate is about time travel, and we're kind of, you know, slowly drip fed how things happen, why things happen, whereas Attack on Titan keeps a lot of things very vague. If you enjoy the concept of time travel, or you are into super sci-fi type medium, Steins Gate will definitely pique your interest for sure. That time I got reincarnated as a slime. I think it's a good watch. I think it's very basic, however, in its concept. there have been quite a few anime that have come out recently of isekai. You know, I die in my main world, I get reincarnated in another world as this race, as a vending machine, as Truck-kun, as a slime. And that market is extremely oversaturated, and I think that time I got reincarnated as a slime is really just the outlier of all of them. It happened to be the one anime series that did a good enough job in keeping this interesting story with that concept, and I think part of it is because it's very D&D, very fantasy realm-esque, whereas a lot of the other ones fail pretty hard. Sinbad, it's the precursor series to Magi, and honestly, Sinbad's a badass dude. Sinbad's one of the coolest characters. He's got that swag. It's very common for people to be like, man, I wish I could be like him. Man, I wish I could be like her. If there was a fictional character that I could be like, it would be this dude right here. Sinbad is just that guy. He's in your corner. He's all powerful. So you know you've got the best person on your team. He's got that swag. He's got that suaveness. He's got people that want to follow him. He's got that Naruto feel to him, you know? Like, people want to follow him. Myself included. I want to be on Sinbad's crew. He's cool as shit. Beautiful Bones. Now, it's been a really long time since I've seen Beautiful Bones. And I don't really remember it super well. But it is a crime anime where the main character is obsessed with bones. You know what I mean? Finding them in crime scenes, observing them, finding the story behind them. It was a fun watch. I need to go back and watch it again to really be sure about where my placement falls for it. As of right now, I would just say good watch because the concept is extremely interesting and unique. Yeah, I think that's where I place it for now. Let's see. Made in Abyss. Now, this show is not what it seems. It looks super cute in the beginning and then turns into an eldritch horror. Honestly, if you like the concept of exploration at all, I think that Made in Abyss actually kind of falls into the must-watch category. It subverts all expectation of what you think within the first, 5 episodes, if I remember correctly. The first couple episodes are, super cute, super cutesy, you get to know the world a little bit, and then it just hits you real hard. And it has a pit in it, very similar to what we see in Gachiakuta. So I would definitely give this a watch. And then last, and certainly not least, we have Beastars. Now, I know I'm probably getting some sideways looks, because Beastars is kind of weird, but what it does is encapsulate a lot of genuine reaction and interaction at that high school level. I'm sure many of you have experienced this to some degree, in some way, shape, or form. And if you haven't experienced it yourself, you've probably seen it happening to somebody or heard of it happening when you were at school. But it shows bullying, assault. It shows high schoolers grouping together. It's just a very interesting show, for sure. It is a little furry coated, absolutely. And there is this Zootopia-like concept where they play with the hierarchy of predators versus prey animals. You know, obviously the main character is a wolf, where the main love interest for him is a rabbit. One of the other main characters is a white-tailed deer. So it plays with this concept of prey versus predator animals and what that means for civilization, ethics. So, in a sense, it's a high school, grungy Zootopia. Cool concept, has some weird moments, but overall, I don't think it deserves the hate that it got. And that's going to be it. I don't know exactly how many anime this is. Maybe I'll count afterwards, or if you guys want to, you can do the count. But this is pretty much everything that I've seen that's not an anime movie. Studio Ghibli, there was some other stuff that I left out, but these were the main series that I could think of off the top of my head. There might have been one or two that I've missed. And this is kind of how everything falls. God tier, we've got Naruto, Gurren Lagann, Yu Yu Hakusho, Dragon Ball Z, Code Geass, Spy Family, Full Metal Alchemist, Soul Eater, Steins Gate, and Sinbad. Is there anything else that I would add? Looking at the instant classic group, I would almost be willing to put Space Dandy and Castlevania into the God tier, but I think it just falls in instant classic. I don't hear enough people talk about those series for me to comfortably put it in God tier, but everything from God to must watch, well, you must watch it. Everything else is a good watch, and everything else under good watch, honestly, I wish I could get my time back. That is a lot of time wasted between those like 10, 12 series that unfortunately I'll never get back, but you know what? You live and you learn. And if I didn't see those series, I wouldn't have been able to make this video. So, if you enjoyed this video, if you see a series that you want to talk about down in the comment section below, something that you like, something that you don't like, something that you may be interested in, or something that you may have a question on, let me know down in the comment section below. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please let me know, and let me know if you want to see more videos like this. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope to see you all next time.